Hello, everybody. This is Nortes432 here. I was actually not going to record this chapter today, but I saw it was like 6 something. I ran out of things to do, and I noticed that the chapter is shorter than the last one, and the last one didn't even take 20 minutes for me to read. So I figured, hey, let's just go ahead and do this chapter and get it out of the way, because it's relatively short and I can do it really quick. So without further ado, fLuTtEr 9. fLuTtEr 9. Fluttershy was not too pleased with this new arrangement, living with Rainbow Dash. This meant less time to herself for her animals and to care for her beloved growing baby. She knew that Whisperwing Blackthorn knew where Carrot Top was squirreled away. He was most likely quite hungry right now, but could he actually kill his prey on his own yet? The yellow Pegasus frowned as she moved the animals toward Rainbow Dash's rarely used cabin. "Something wrong, Fluttershy?" Rainbow Dash asked as she carried a basket full of small critters. "Oh, no. It's just I've never lived anywhere else since I came to Ponyville." Without missing a beat, Dash nudged Fluttershy gently. "Hey, don't worry about it. As soon as this whole mess is taken care of and we don't have to worry about it anymore, you can move right back in." Fluttershy glanced at Dash. "How long would that be?" "Well, Dwight's supposed to be back in what? 2 weeks? Soon as she's back, she can find whatever has been killing ponies and defeat it. And then everything can go back to normal. Except for those who've lost loved ones and friends," she mentally added. Dash let out a sigh. "Still, 2 whole weeks, and who knows how much longer it will take to find this monster." "Blackthorn is no monster. He's my baby." Fluttershy's eyes flicker red, and an angry scowl crossed her face. Thankfully for her, it was unseen by Dash as she had trotted ahead. "She's my friend. I love her, but I don't think I really should be living with her. What if she finds out?" Fluttershy's face returned to the normal, gentle appearance. Rarity, Applejack, and even the still depressed Pinkie Pie were at the cabin, helping out by setting up some extra hutches and even a small chicken coop. Applejack waved to the pair as they approached. "Hey, y'all! That all your critters?" Fluttershy glanced back at the train of small and some not-so-small animals followed her. "Yes, that's all of them." "Golly, you sure got plenty." She noticed Boxer, Carrot Top's orange parrot, with a few green feathers atop his head, was riding on Dash's head. "That looks good on you, R.D." "You think?" Rainbow Dash chuckled quickly. "Once we find Carrot Top, he'll go back to her. I don't know if I really want the pet." "Why not?" "Come on, I'm a free spirit. I do what I want, when I want, except for the weather schedule, but that's easy." She then glanced up at the parrot. "Still, I'll do what I can to help you out." Rarity trotted over, looking perfectly groomed. She had been using her magic to help out with getting the animal settled. "I must say, your little friends are so well behaved." Fluttershy blushed a little. "They're behaved. They knew we're helping them. I really do appreciate all the help you've given me and my little friends." Dash chuckled. "No sweat. This was easy." Pinkie Pie looked up from under her emo hair. "Place is clean." She opened the cabin door, allowing Fluttershy to look inside. Fluttershy had been expecting there to be a little welcome to your new home party set up inside, but it was plain. No decorations at all. Just places for animals to sleep, a sofa, coffee table, and some stands for whatever Fluttershy might want to place on them. She checked the kitchen. It had a wood stove, sink, low table, and cupboards. There was also the bedroom, a single bed, small dresser, and nightstand. "It's so..." Rarity opened her mouth. "Perfect." Fluttershy beamed, cutting Rarity off. "I think I'll feel safer staying here. I'm just not used to sleeping in clouds." She gave a sorry glance to Rainbow Dash. "You sure, Shy?" Dash was concerned. "I mean, there's something out there. That much we know. Carrot Top went missing." She shuddered, remembering the blood-soaked blanket. Applejack nudged Dash. "Hopefully we'll find her." Even if her mane was out of style, I don't believe she deserved anything like this. Fluttershy whimpered. "I hope Carrot Top is all right. Fresh meat tastes better than carrion." Carrot Top had struggled, and despite her injuries, she reached the top of the pit. She was using her hooves and back to brace against the sides of the pit. She could see small cracks, from which she could see light. She knew all about breaking up the ground to plant her carrots. One time, she had to borrow a couple of books from the library to learn how to break up a large boulder that simply refused to come out of the ground. "Okay, I know I can do this." If I can crack this boulder, then I'll be able to get out of here. She winced a little as her shoulder burned. She placed a hoof against the bottom of the stone and pushed ever so gently. At first, she pushed so lightly that even fLuTtEr wouldn't have noticed, but slowly increased pressure. Earth ponies had a passive magic that allowed them to understand the nature of the ground better than unicorns with their magic and Pegasus with their sky. She felt the stones start to give, small cracks forming. She didn't stop and just kept pushing. It felt like it had been hours, her legs, back, and shoulders screaming from the strain of holding herself in position for as long as she had. But the stone cracked and split down the middle with a resounding crack. Carrot Top winced. Had fLuTtEr heard that? She hoped not. She then started pushing against the smaller piece. The strain was agonizing, but the smaller piece shifted, allowing her to get a grip on the lip of the pit. She used her new grip to add leverage to the stone and forced it aside. Carrot Top pulled herself from the pit and collapsed. She wanted to fall asleep right then and there, but she knew she was still not out of danger. She rose unsteadily to her hooves and got a good look at her surroundings. Very large trees stood in front of her, but it was the massive wall of thick roots and the massive, impossibly huge tree that had been behind her that made her gasp. It had to be at least 100 lengths thick, and so high she couldn't even guess the height. She could see thick roots and vines winding their way up the tree. They looked easily thick enough to walk on and climb. I need to get a better view of where I am. Carrot Top struggled a little, but got climbing. This tree was going to be an interesting climb for certain. Along the way, she found some bushes loaded down with fat, juicy-looking berries. She tasted one and found they were sweet and indeed juicy. The purple berries quickly served to fill her empty belly and quench her thirst. There were more and more of these berries at the base of the tree, but the higher she went, the more exotic the fruit she would find. Carrot Top even found a tree that had carrots growing from the branches. She tasted one and swooned, crunchy like a carrot, a little sweeter than what she was used to, but also a little juicy in the center. Even though she had eaten her fill from the berries, staining her mouth red from the sweet juice, she chowed down on a couple of the wonderful tree carrots. When I get through this, I'll have to try to get some of these and plant them back in my garden. She grinned, then continued till she was higher than the treetops. A sea of forest greeted her sight. Carrot Top felt her chances diminish. Where am I? This looks nothing like the Everfree Forest. That's because this is the Everdeep Wood, her own voice whispered in her mind. Everdeep Wood, Carrot Top whispered. A shame. This place is so far from anywhere. Death is inevitable. Carrot Top didn't like that thought. She was optimistic. She didn't think like that. I wonder how much it would hurt if one were to fall from this height. Would they even feel the impact with the ground, or would they hit the roots and vines on the way down, feeling every blow and break? She knew now these could not be her own thoughts. What's going on? Who's there? She looked around, then spotted a white-coated pony further up the tree. A young stallion. He smiled and dashed up the tree. Wait, I'm lost! She chased after the pony. Please, you have to help me. She watched as the pony jumped across a small gap, not even slowing down. Carrot Top made the jump, too, not even thinking to look down at this chase while it was taking her higher up into the tree. Another gap jumped, and still they went higher. This young stallion moved with unusual grace, but his movements were both haunting and beautiful to watch. Carrot Top could see his blank flank, even though he looked to be nearing adulthood. She ignored that strange fact and pressed on. At one point, she lost sight of him and looked out over the forest toward the slowly setting sun. She was so high over the forest now, it looked like a lush green blanket down below. This tree didn't look that large from below, but it was still looming overhead, the branches spreading out impossibly far. This tree, it's beautiful, but I've never seen or ever even heard of anything like it before. Up here, a young handsome voice called out. There's a place up here you can rest for the night. Looking up, Carrot Top spotted the pony. She trotted forward and hopped from vine to vine till she reached the opening. The pony was nowhere to be seen. He must be inside. Carrot Top entered, noticing the small glowing crystals that seemed to grow from the inside of the tree. They shed a soft, almost comforting white light. Ahead, she saw the tunnel slope upward. She caught a glimpse of a white tail and followed. The passages within the tree were labyrinthine, and Carrot Top knew she was good and lost. Still, her guide kept leading her forward, and never upward. This finally ended when she saw an opening above. It looked well lit, and the climb was easy enough. Carrot Top entered into a large cavern of sorts. The walls were all thick and solid wood, like the interior of a tree home. The whole chamber was lit from a huge crystal high above the center of the chamber. She looked down at the smooth, polished floor. It was a dark, rich red wood, quite unlike the walls, which was odd. Hello? Where did you go? Right here, came a whisper in her right ear. Carrot Top spun around, coming face to face with the white face of the pony. No, this was no pony. This face shared an oddly attractive mix of feline and pony features. Those green eyes did not look threatening, but rather friendly. Even the grin filled with sharp teeth did not look dangerous. Who are you? My name is Whisperwing. He stretched out a pair of wondrous wings. They were dragon wings, but they were feathered, like that of a Pegasus. What's your name, pretty mare? Carrot Top blushed and stepped back. Carrot Top. She could see his features better now. He sported a unicorn's horn, those wings, a long slender tail. His claws looked thin and sharp, and his body was sleek and beautifully muscled. Hello, Carrot Top. I bet you must be tired and hungry. Thirsty too. Thank you, Whisperwing. Whisperwing smiled a rather cute smile, even if his fangs did still protrude slightly from his mouth. Stay here and I'll be back. You like carrots, I take. I love carrots, Carrot Top beamed, then blushed. Yes, I do. Whisperwing turned and walked toward a fair-sized entrance. Stay here. I'll be back soon. He spread his wings again and jumped through the entrance. Carrot Top trotted over and looked out. Directly outside of the opening was a large, wide branch, large enough to build a nice-sized home on. Staring in wonder for a few moments, she shook her head and returned inside. She smiled as she walked up to a shelf, then froze at the sight before her. A skull. Not a pony skull, and it looked really odd, but it made her shiver slightly. This shelf was covered with many old skulls, but not a single pony skull anywhere. Of course, he's a meat eater, but he looks part pony. I guess he doesn't eat ponies. If only she knew. I'm back, Carrot Top. His voice called from the entrance. Carrot Top turned and saw the bunch of large tree carrots. Those are for me? She asked nervously. Glancing at the shelf, then noticing that there were many shelves all lined with skulls. Of course. Come eat. What about you? She asked nervously. I'm good. I won't have to eat for another day or two. What do you eat? She asked nervously. Meat. What else do you think? He smiled a friendly smile. You don't eat ponies, do you? I've never harmed a pony in my life. Well, once, but she wasn't badly hurt, and I was really scared at the time. She recovered without even a scratch. Whisperwing was perfectly honest. He had only hurt one pony, and that was his mother when he had injected his genetic material into her. Oh. Carrot Top glanced at the carrots, her tummy grumbling a little. You don't eat vegetables? I can if I want, but they're not my preference. He shrugged and walked up to the side, hopped onto a small ledge and lay down. Eat up now. Carrot Top nodded. Whatever this creature was, he seemed nice. She kept an eye on him as she ate. She was really hoping she could get out of here with some of these to plant. After eating a couple of the filling veggies, she sat down. I feel so much better. Whisperwing lifted his head. You'd best stay the night. Some of the things out there are very dangerous, even for me. Carrot Top nodded and looked around for another sleeping ledge. There was none. It gets chilly this high. I have my wings to keep me warm. He lifted a wing. Come and lay next to me. I don't know. I just want to get home. You don't look so well. Whisperwing hopped down from the ledge and approached. Carrot Top watched him pat closer. He was not moving like he was stalking her. She then thought back. Who's your mother? My mother? She is the sweetest and kindest creature in the whole world. She does not live here, though, and I do miss her very much. She visits often, though. And her name? Carrot Top took a step back. Please don't say Fluttershy. Please don't say Fluttershy. Carrot Top's blood ran cold. Oh, please. I'm not going to hurt you. I have never killed anything. But Fluttershy, how can she be your mother? You look nearly as old as she is. I grow fast. I'm not even 6 months old. Carrot Top raised an eye. Somehow, her nerves were starting to calm down. She didn't notice a slight red flicker to his eyes as he came closer. Let me see your shoulder. I'll clean it up for you. I don't know. It was Fluttershy who hurt me. Are you sure it was Fluttershy? Carrot Top tilted her head. I don't know. I've known her for a while. Never really well, though. She sat down and tilted her head to the side. Whisperwing came up and examined her neck. You were bitten. Those teeth marks are certainly no pony teeth. He looked at the wound. The licking sent shivers down Carrot Top's spine. She felt the injury go numb, the pain fading away. You're covered in scratches. Let me tend to them. Whispering continues licking at the multitude of scratches, savoring the flavor of her blood. Okay guys, the rest of this little part is basically what happens is I think Whisper Wing decided to woohoo Carrot Top. Yeah, he most certainly did woohoo Carrot Top. So, like I said, I do not feel comfortable reading these parts, and even though they are really good, I am not going to read them. So, please enjoy reading it right now. Just go ahead and pause the video if you're reading it with me, and just read that part of the chapter now before I continue, which is right now. Twilight read through the latest of her field notebooks. The secrets written within were amazing, magic she had never before dreamed of learning. 2 more weeks, and I can find the thing in the woods. Her grin was somewhat dark and twisted. Silencegrave stood nearby, watching his mistress. Celestia watched through both of her students' eyes, and Silencegrave's as well. She smiled warmly. Soon, my dear Twilight. Soon. Also, before I go, author notes. Just so any of you know, yeah, one length is equal to about 5 feet. One hoof is 4 inches. So that's a big tree. It was a big tree. Okay, that's all you need to know. It was a big tree. So, anyways, fLuTtEr 9. That was a really great chapter, and I'm sorry, but some of this is kind of really sickening. I mean, I'm starting to get sick now. I mean, like, fLuTtEr 7 probably got me sick for a long time, but this is not as bad because they hinted at it, but kind of skipped the little scene. So I'm kind of glad, but I was still not comfortable reading. But the rest of the chapter was really cool, and I love Whisperwing. And also, the voice I use for Whisperwing, I think it's pretty nice. I think it sounds kind of like a handsome, dark man, but it's also very terrible because I'm doing this voice, and it's not one of my voices. I should probably stop doing it right now because you're probably getting annoyed. And if you're not getting annoyed, well, I'm very sorry. Just listen to this on repeat. I love you too. Ciao.